Welcome.
So Vicki recommended that we put our Christmas sweaters on. I don't have a Christmas sweater with me, so I have red. And I'm in Florida right now. I'll be coming back up right before Thanksgiving. I've got my little mini Christmas tree, and then I have a little Christmas decoration. So and then Heather, what holiday stuff do you have?
I have my Christmas mug that I'm drinking tea out of. Yeah, I wasn't going to put a sweater on today because it was 70 degrees here. So
I can't believe that. That's awesome.
It was beautiful. So yeah, this was from Tarla to me when I was teaching. So it's a favorite.
We decided to do this because homeschooling is challenging enough. And then whenever you add the holidays on, and so many people put so much stress on themselves during the holiday, we thought it would be great to just kind of give some veteran homeschoolers perspective on how we did the holidays, and just to encourage you. Hi, Stacy. Welcome. Glad you're here. So I was just mentioning that homeschooling can be challenging in and of itself. And then you throw in the holidays, and sometimes it just feels like it's so overwhelming that we thought it might be nice to have some people who have been through it. My kids are grown. Heather's kids are grown. Heather has been. I'm going to let Heather tell you a little bit about her before she gets started. But yeah, we just want to encourage you that you can continue to. You can do it. That's really what we want to encourage you, is that you can do it. So I'm going to let Heather take it away. She's
okay. All right. Well, perfect. Well, I want to say welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for giving part of your evening to share and to chat. And we will have time to chat after my short little presentation that I had fun putting together regarding how to homeschool through the holidays. So I'm going to introduce myself first. And then let's see, I want to make sure I can shift through. Yes. Okay. So I am one of those veteran homeschool moms. Didn't do it perfectly. I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I have homeschooled 4 boys. They're all graduated now. 2 are college graduates and 2 are currently in college. I found this Christmas, of course, I had to do a Christmas picture of our family from last year, but then I realized my one son is out. So yes, I really do have 4 sons. So there is Mother's Day. I also happen to be faculty manager for Homeschool Connections, which means that I support our teachers. So I may see you if you're on campus. I may see you. Definitely say hi to me if we meet in person. So here is just kind of my thoughts. When you're thinking about holidays, I think it's really important to establish the big picture. What are we celebrating, right? Thanksgiving, we're really thinking about why are we thankful? To whom are we thankful? Christmas, whose birth are we celebrating, or etc. So just to focus first of all on what are these holidays celebrating. And then yes, helpful. How do I want my children to remember our holidays spent together? In my case, they probably don't want to remember mom pouting in the corner because she didn't get the gift she wanted. These are just things that, sure, I've learned. I could probably have done some holidays better. And so hopefully I can share with you. But just so important that these are going to be your children's memories. Christmas morning, we can all think back and remember our Christmas mornings growing up and what an impact that has. So I found that to just be helpful as I mature. It's not just about me. It's about, we're making memories. So on that, I really think it's important to set expectations, not just, big wide open expectations, fine to start there, but realistic expectations. So be thinking about those. I'm going to go through a few areas that we'll think about. But not only that they're realistic, but also communicating those, especially, you know, like to hubby. I have found, being married 31 years, it's important to tell him that, yes, gifts to me are important. And it's taken me a long time to figure that out. There are times when maybe I didn't get what I wanted and I was disappointed in my husband, where I could have just communicated better and he would have gladly accommodated, you know. So I think communication is so important, not just setting people up, to just automatically know what's important to us. So communicating expectations, having those expectations be realistic. Oh, wow, I forgot I did the fade in. I was like, where are my words? Okay, I was really getting fancy on this one and I forgot. So these are some areas of setting expectations for you ladies to think about on your own, but things that came to my mind. Also, and I forgot to mention this up front, everybody's holiday and the way you celebrate and how you do is perfect. There isn't going to be a right or a wrong. I want you to know that. We're all different. That's why we homeschool, right? We're not going to fit in. We're not all going to do it the same. But so these are just things that I thought of. You're going to have different things, different areas to consider. What are my expectations? So, for example, home. I mean, of course, decoration's really important. And I also included cleanliness level. Like for me, I want a tidy house, but how tidy, and that's where I need to step back and think, maybe if things are picked up, that's important to me. So think about, where would you like to see things for your home, for your work, if you're balancing work outside of the home, and how to budget your time accordingly. Family get-togethers are a biggie. And this one I did, again, revisit the communication. How long do mom and dad want us to stay there? How, is this going to be an all-day affair celebrating Christmas? Is this a morning affair? To me, those things are important because I want to know how, when I go into something, am I going to be there all day or not? If I'm expected to be there all day and I'm thinking I'm going home after a couple hours, there's going to be a little conflict. So I really think communicating, even for gifts, we found with cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents, setting up expectation. Hey, we're all going to spend $10 on each other. Or, hey, we're not going to do gifts at all just for grandma and grandpa. My family, our boys are older. We just do grandma and grandpa gifts now. So really important with that. What food to bring? What are you expecting me to bring? The sweet potato dish? Or one year I didn't bring the sweet potatoes and my mom said, oh, you were supposed to bring the sweet potatoes. It's like, I didn't know, right? And then, so moving on, things about what traditions do you have? What traditions are really important that you observe every year? And I'll get into that. But I'm sure we all have multiple things. What kind of meals? And by meals here, I meant, for your family through the holidays. For, do they all have to be from scratch? Are you okay with doing some carry out or etc.? Gifting, I've kind of touched on, and then the homeschooling. So I did share the others were more just for you to think about. I'm giving you ideas to evaluate on your own time. But because our seminar was called Homeschooling Through the Holidays, I did give you my example of what I did homeschooling. Again, it doesn't have to be yours. It might not have been Tarla's, and we're all going to be different, right? But I really love the snowman on this slide. So these were for me, right? So I knew that I like to be home, a certain amount of days. I am a homebody by nature, so I'm not, if I had to be on the go 5 days out of 5, that would be too much for me. I would be tapped out. So I try to be home 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5. This isn't a rule, but that helped me. I like being home. And then also for me, and again, this is just for me, but for our boys, I like to have that consistent sleep time. Come whatever it was when they were younger, 10, or now it's more like 11, 11:30, but we still it's bedtime, lights out, everybody. And that's just for me. Also, and again, remember, I have boys, or I have boys, they're young men now, but the showering, the daily chores, helping me with unload. Yes, the showering. It's very important when you have young boys, at least in my house, right? I don't want stinky boys. Their daily chores, they had at least something that they could help me with every day, unloading the dishwasher, right? It's just sure, I could do it in 2 minutes, but it's a nice gesture. Making the bed, no, we didn't. I didn't always follow through on that, but would I love that? Yes. How great to walk by their room and see the bed made. Then as far as homeschooling, I mean, I was pretty relaxed on homeschooling, especially through the holidays, but I did like them to do something written, and really it was a break for me. Like if I had a workbook or something and they could do a page or two of their math or their spelling, whatever ages they were, find something to do. It's really a break for me too, and give them something. I felt like, well, they're being productive if I can look over there and, oh, they're doing their math. It's kind of nice. We did try to stick with family devotion, though. That's always been big in our routine. A lot of times it will be when my husband's home and it's after dinner. But when the kids were young, we had devotion like after lunch. I just found it was a nice time after lunch to sit down. We read a devotion. And then what I liked is our read aloud time was usually some kind of historical fiction type book. And I felt like I was double dipping, where we were having the reading time together, but maybe they were also going to learn something, right? So that's how I did our homeschooling. And, again, there isn't a right or a wrong. This is just me. I am a kind of a check the box. So if we did a little bit, I felt good about that. But backing up, and I think Tarla, you'll mention too, but there's so much more. There's so many ways to learn outside of just the confines. Making the Christmas cookies, right? I mean, what a great lesson on fractions, and so on. So I am not limiting homeschooling by any means to that. Those are just like homeschooling things we did. So now back to the expectations. Just make sure they're realistic. Like for me, the example is the clean house. Yes, I would love a tidy house all the time, but again, as a mom of 4 boys, I've had to, and we have had dogs, you have to give up on that a little bit. But I still know I don't like clutter. Even if my floors aren't spick and span, I just don't like clutter. So that's more realistic, right? And manageable, again, with the tidiness. Even how about the healthy meals? Maybe you get carry out a couple times a week, and that makes life more manageable for you. And then financially feasible. Of course, I think we all live within that. Okay, so I was just going to share a couple things, and then I'm almost done. But the idea of making adjustments. So making Christmas cookies is always something I envisioned You know, myself and my boys, we would all make Christmas cookies, which is wonderful. But then they get to be, you know, 12 or 13 and they have no interest in making cookies with mom. And that's okay. And these are things, you know, that we just as moms, hey, I did it with them. They're not going to do it every year, and that's okay. Now, and it's not too sad, but I usually make Christmas cookies by myself because they're off doing other things, you know, and that's okay. Maybe I can get them to stamp a few shapes, and then I'll take it. I'll take what I can get, right? Um, and then another one is funny, but the Chinese restaurant. We used to always go out on Christmas Eve to a Chinese restaurant. It was tradition. So, you know, so fun. It's the only place open. It gave me a break. And then we stopped it. And what's so funny is my boys actually missed it. And then the following year, they were like, why can we go to the Chinese restaurant? We missed the Chinese restaurant. So you realize that these traditions, whether you do them or not, they're fun for the kids. You know, so whether it's the most awesome food that night, which in my mind is no longer, but it's fun to do, right? It's a fun tradition. And then I did mention earlier, but for me, a big maturing thing over time was the gifts and I need to take that test, you know, the love languages, but I'm pretty sure now I do appreciate a well thought out gift. And what I've done, how I've accommodated and just learned is my husband, I just give him the list. You know, it's not super exciting. But again, after 31 years, here is the link to the boots that I want to open on Christmas morning. And you know, he, bless his heart, he's like done, bought it. You know, I think our husbands want to please us and to just help. You know, for me, many years I just expected, oh, you should know what I want. But this has just made Christmas opening gifts it's a little smoother. Let's put it that way. So those are my little fun stories. So once you've established your expectations, definitely prayer. I mean, Lord, help me be the person you want me to be today. I pray that all the time. Give me wisdom interacting with people. Give me, you know, help my words be edifying to you. So prayer is huge. Making lists, especially grocery lists, as much as I hate to do it, I recommend, especially around the holiday time, because you're doing different things, right? You're making different recipes. Man, if you get ready to start the cookies and you forgot the one ingredient, what a pain, right? So lists, ask for help. This is huge. My husband wraps all our gifts. I love that. It's a huge, like, I don't need to have ownership on that. He does a great job, and it's a huge help for me just to know that aspect is done. Also, he will go get some pizza for us one night if things are getting busy. So I love that. Prepare as much as possible ahead. I was going to share that I usually do like an overnight breakfast casserole on for Christmas morning. So we can open gifts. I'm not in the kitchen worrying about what are we going to eat, you know, for our special Christmas morning. As I get older and older, I really think me time is important. When our kids were young, no, I didn't have a lot of me time, right? But it is important. And I find if I feel like I'm not getting what I need, then I'm not kind all the time to everybody around me. So, you know, don't forget about yourself. And then lastly, and I can't see it because I haven't, wait, let me exit it. Embrace the moment and the unexpected. And I would just say the unexpected, sometimes those are the fun stories that you tell over and over and over about the holiday. You know, there's something funny that didn't go right. So embrace it, stay in the moment, enjoy your children, enjoy your husband, enjoy your family. And I don't know what else to say. I ran out of words. So I think that's all I have. Yep. Enjoy the
That's
holiday season.
wonderful. Heather, thank you so much for that. It was interesting whenever we started, Heather had prepared all the, they asked me to do this. And so I'm like, sure, I'll talk about during the holidays. And then I said, I think I need somebody else on here with me. So Heather volunteered, and it's such a perfect pairing because Heather is a very, I mean, you saw her beautiful presentation, and she thinks things through so well, and a little bit more of a planner, and I've admired that in Heather so much throughout the years that I've known her.
Thank you.
I am a lot, none of those. I kind of take things as they are and then get frustrated that I get overwhelmed. But Heather, I really appreciated a couple points that you made about expectations and about that communication. For me, growing up, we always went to grandma's house, and that was in another state, and my cousins were there. And even when my kids were little, we'd all go to Pennsylvania, and it was this big, big weekend and big, big time. And then when my mom and dad passed, and we were just celebrating with just us, it was almost traumatic for me, going from having 20 people and a room full of presents to 4 people and maybe 8 little presents under the tree. I felt like it felt like a failure. It felt like, oh, I don't know how to do this. And then I had to do the whole meal by myself, and I didn't even know how to cook the stuff because I had never done it before. So I want to, some of the things I think were really important for me is to ask the kids what was important for them. I know that I wanted to make it perfect. I wanted to make it magical. I wanted to make it everything that Christmas is supposed to be. And so when my first couple Christmases, when it was just us, it felt so bad. But really, that was the perfect time for us to make new traditions and to just really what was important for us. And so I don't know where you guys are. I know we earlier we talked about, how old the kids were, and some have young kids, and it's so easy to kind of get overwhelmed and buy everything you can think of to buy. And really, that's not what's going to make the time special. The time special is going to be the time that you are together and the things you do together. Heather, I love your Chinese restaurant tradition. And it's funny because traditions don't have to be a really big deal, but they're just a special time together. So it's been a couple years. My kids are grown. They're out of the house. This last year, I got to spend Christmas. They were living with me, and my 3 grandkids were living with me. Now, this idea of how Christmas is supposed to be, it threw me because my grandkids don't like the turkey and the ham and the stuffing. They don't like the fancy dinner. They wanted pizza. And I'm like, okay, what kind of pizza do you want? And my grandson said he wants pizza like him. I didn't know what that meant. So I'm like, you want a pizza like you? And he said, yes. So I got a pizza dough. I should have pulled up I didn't even think about it until while Heather was talking. But I got pizza dough, cut it up the middle to make legs, cut it up the sides, made arms, and then cut a head. And we put sauce on it, and then they were making it. So I had pepperoni and cheese, I think is all it was. And then the other thing they wanted on their pizza was sprinkles. So we had pepperoni boys with sprinkles for our Christmas dinner, and it was so much fun because they got to choose. They got to decide. Whoever would say it's okay to have sprinkles on pizza, but it was really what they wanted. So it was just such a fun memory together. And then for Christmas morning, we had been at Big Lots, and there were these snowball kits where they had these white puffballs, and they had blow up shields. And so we bought a couple of those, and we we set a couple snowballs going down the basement steps. And when they got to the basement, they saw these shields with the snowballs, and we just had this big snowball fight. And it was just fun. And it was interesting. I had more fun having Christmas with my grandkids than I did Christmas with my own kids. And I think it's because I was trying to make it be right with my kids. And I was trying to, I didn't have a lot of really good communication with them as far as what was important to them. And Heather, you shared what was important to you and what was important for me. So I think that taking the time to have a communication of what would, you already have certain holiday traditions that you have established, but what are some things that are really important to your kids? And it might be really interesting when you ask them, what's really important to you for this Christmas or this Thanksgiving? What is it that would make this time really special? And just hearing that, I think it's interesting. I think sometimes their requests are a whole lot simpler than what we think is needed.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the homeschooling aspect during the holidays, this is such a prime time to do real life learning, planning the menu, making the lists, making the cookies, planning who's going to be there and how much food you're going to need, doing Christmas cards together, doing some crafts together. I know that the times when we sit down and do some crafts, it's interesting for me when we would sit and do crafts, how much everybody would talk together. And whenever you're doing something with your hands, it's easy to you get relaxed and talk and share with each other. So it's nice to take some time to do that. One holiday suggestion for Thanksgiving that I had heard that I thought was brilliant, but my kids are all grown, so we haven't done it, is to get a tablecloth and every year do a handprint of the people who are there and have them write their names. And then you end up with this tablecloth with handprints all over it, different years, and you can kind of look back and say, oh, remember that year when so-and-so was there, and different things like that. So thinking long-term, some traditions that will give you great memories in the future is a really nice thing as well. So those are just some of the things that I had thought about that are what's important to me. And I think not getting overwhelmed, not making it, you want the holidays to be special, so you work really hard to make them special, and sometimes we wear ourselves out. I loved what Heather said about making sure you have you time. Sometimes your husbands are home, and taking a nap, building in a nap for yourselves when you never get that, things like that, I think are really great suggestions too. So anyway, that was just the little extra I wanted to add. Do you guys have some ideas, or what are some holidays traditions that you do, or what are some questions that you might have? Does anybody have anything? Well, I just want to let you know that Homeschool Connections is here to serve you. We've been helping families homeschool for over 20 years, and we do little things like this because we know where the bumps happen and where they happened for us. And sometimes, Christmas is all bumpy and difficult. It starts the next year, the January, off on a frustrating or disappointing note. So we just thought this would be a good time just to kind of give some pointers and ideas about some things that could help you. If you ever need encouragement, if you ever get frustrated, if you need some advising or some support or recommendations, we have tons, and we want to let you know that we are here for you. Even if you're not right where we are, we're here to serve you all in the whole state of Michigan. So I hope you all have a wonderful, fabulous holiday. And I don't know if I showed everybody, but here's my holiday present, my red shirt. Heather has her holiday mug.
I'm drinking out of my mug, everybody. Christmas mug.
And we hope to see you all again sometime. Have a good night and a wonderful holiday season.